So on the low end, 250 or 300. On the high end, 900 or more, but we'll just say 900 because that's the price I stick on things. But again, for me, April 12th is not the time to be having those conversations.
These gray cells, as you know from our plug and play stuff that we try to give our members, indicate that it's going to auto calculate. So, depending what you do, right? So you're helping 40 clients either way. You're charging average 250 or you're charging average 650, and we can see how that impacts the earning from the next 3 days, right? Which are probably some of the most profitable days potentially that we have as professionals. I want to see for a second here, Andrea, because there's other services that Schedule C clients need if they're close to the deadline, especially if they owe unpleasant amounts of tax, right? So we're talking about tax planning, we're talking about tax problem resolution. There's some other needs, right, that we can, and even like ancillary services like insurances and different things, financial advising that some of our members do. So can you talk for a second about Schedule C clients close to the deadline? You identify they need other services. Is that an opportunity to generate more revenue? Is that something like, hey, we're just too close to the deadline, like let's not focus on that? How do you see that as part of this conversation? And everybody too, Dream Team members in the chat, let us know how you guys see that as well.
For me, April 12th is not the time to be having tax planning conversations. Okay. And so if it's a client who's going to need a little more hand-holding, they get an extension now, and then we can revisit it when we have time to look. But let's just say that you have your act together and you actually have time to have some conversations. I mean, in my firm, I charge $900 minimum for just the S Corp analysis. That's not even a guarantee that S Corp makes sense. That's just for me to do the math. So for somebody who's not achieved aggressive pricing policies yet, I would say, you could generate maybe another $250 or $300 worth of revenue per client, just say for that S Corp discussion, because if you have Schedule C, that's a logical tax planning opportunity, and it's relatively quick to do. So on the low end, 250 or 300. On the high end, 900 or more, but we'll just say 900 because that's the price I stick on things. But again, for me, April 12th is not the time to be having those conversations. Like, it's, especially if you think you're going to get through 40 returns from now to Monday evening, you're probably not having time to have actual conversations with people. Not about planning anyway.
Yeah, and so this is a part of the spreadsheet that maybe we can't really fill out with full confidence in this short training. But I think it's something to consider, right? Because if you don't generate this revenue right today when you're completing the tax prep, if you set it up properly, like to do that S Corp analysis. So let's say you have a Schedule C business that they're profitable, right? And so all the Dream Team members, you guys should have what we call our magic spreadsheet, where you can just plug in the numbers of the net profit on a Schedule C, and you can see if an S Corp would save the client and how much they would save them. So you should all have access to that spreadsheet where you can, even while you're doing the tax prep, you can just plug in those numbers and roughly see. So let's say that let's say we're just talking about S Corp conversions, and 5 of these 40 clients would benefit from that. What happens a lot of times if we're not being in that aggressive, really growing our business mode or growing our earning mode, is we might mention it to the client, but not follow up, not make it something that's a priority, and show the client exactly how much they're going to save, that kind of thing. So I'm going to put here, just in terms of over the next 3 days, even if you were really not trying that hard, you could probably generate $1,000 of extra consulting income, non-tax prep. And keep in mind, this doesn't have to be work that you do right now. I'm saying maybe this is more like you've seeded it, right? But it blossoms into, let's say, $1,000. But if you take, let's say there's 4 clients and you charge an average of $1,500 per client for a tax plan, that's the still same 4 clients instead of $250, $1,500. You can see potentially that this income can be quite a bit more. And this doesn't even count tax problem resolution, if you're into that kind of work or different things. So we can kind of leave this just for sake of discussion, but Well, actually, Andrea, does that make sense of kind of like keeping an eye out for the other things that these clients need? Because if they're coming at the last minute, they probably have a lot of needs, right?
Yep, they probably do. And like you said, you're not necessarily going to be able to address those needs right now for tax year 23, but it could be opportunity for 2024. And so it still counts as an increase in your revenue.